A few years back, we wrote a book with the best title ever given to a book. Ask and it is given. And it was speaking about exactly that. Because when you ask, even with a soft preference, the vibrational part of you, the non-physical part of you, the source energy part of you, the God force part of you, doesn't just answer the request, it becomes the vibrational equivalent of the solution. So if you've got a problem, the solution is there immediately, because you can't have a problem without asking for the solution. You can't have a question without asking for the answer. And in this magnificent universe where you ask, source answers, where you ask, it is given, that's what's happening. So when we say to you, do you know what you're wanting? And some of you say, well, I don't think I know it in the fullest. I just know that right now this chair is not as comfortable as I would like it to be. Or right now I know that I wish my kids were behaving better back home, where I locked them in a room and said, I'll be back. Be good. But we want you to know that there is this amassed vortex that not only knows what you want, but is what you want. It's the vibrational version of all that you have been requesting that has already been amassed, and all cooperative components have already been drawn to it. Do you know that for everything you want, cooperative components are immediately available? That's why there can and should be immediate manifestation of the things that you want, because when you ask, it is given vibrationally. But there is this lag that happens with so many of you. We've been giving the buffer of time the credit for it. In other words, we've been saying to you for a long time that when you want something, there is usually a buffer of time between your identification that you want it and the showing up of it, the manifesting of it, the actualization of it in your life experience. But we want you to know that the only reason that there is that lag is because when you launch your preference, when you amend your desire again and again and again, as you do all day, every day, you are usually not up to speed. You're not a cooperative component to what you're asking for. And the reason that you are not, sometimes, often, usually, a vibrational match to what you're asking for is because you are so what is oriented. You're so deciphering the present manifestation. So when your present reality shows you something that you want, most of you are still so actively involved in explaining what's wrong with the present reality that you prevent yourself from being a cooperative component to what you are looking for. You know, a question has a vibration, and an answer has a vibration. But the vibrational difference between the question and the answer is a big vibrational difference. A problem has a vibration. A solution has a vibration. But there's a vibrational variance between the problem and the solution that keeps you from being a cooperative component to the solution. So it's really interesting thing to see that when you ask for something, immediately the source within you, we call that your inner being, the whole of you, becomes an immediate vibrational match to what you're asking for, and law of attraction gathers the cooperative components to it, so there is an immediate attraction of everything that you are asking for. But if you're still beating the drum of what is, I don't have enough money, I don't know what I'm going to do, I've never had enough money, I don't know hardly anybody who has enough money. As you beat the drum of what is, you hold yourself vibrationally apart from what you are really wanting. Now, the best news in all of that is every time you do that, you can feel your vibrational discord. You're really, 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 really good at interpreting a reality through your physical senses. What you see is just an interpretation of vibration. What you hear is an interpretation of vibration. What you smell and taste and touch, just vibrational interpretations. But you, bless you, you make that reality, because I can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it, so that's real. And what's in the vortex, Abraham, dear friend, that vortex that you keep pointing at and telling us we should get in it, I have to tell you, we hear you say, I can't actually see or hear or smell or taste or touch anything over there, so I'm not so sure that that's a reality worth giving my attention to. And we say, that's what trips you up. Your reality that is so, you just like it so much. It calls you because you can see it and hear it and smell it and taste and touch it. So you want to see it and look at it and taste it and touch it and hear it. You want to give it your undivided attention. And we say, if you give your problem your undivided attention, you hold yourself apart from being a cooperative component to the solution. You say, but I can't see the solution, and let me tell you about the problem. I've had it for a long time. I've never liked it. It bothers me in this way, in this way, in this way, in this way. Others have it too. We have a meetup group online. And we say, if you keep keeping the problem active in your vibration, you see, that wasn't your plan. You plan to come as part of your consciousness into this physical body, explore, identify what you prefer, and as soon as you identify it, to give your undivided attention to that new preference. And when you do that, when life shows you what you want, and then you talk about what it is you want and why you want it, and you think about all the reasons that you would love to experience that, then you train yourself into vibrational compliance with the solution, and then law of attraction must bring it to you. It is law. But when you feel that you have to justify it, and we know how you got there. In other words, you came into this physical body and you looked to those other big people as the vortex through which your well-being came. And as they said to you, don't behave that way. You must cater to me. You must please me. And whether they said it right out loud or not, and plenty of them did, you caught on pretty quick that you needed to do things that would make you friendly in the community in which you were living. And so you began one who pleased those around you. When they frowned, you did something different. You always, not always, but especially in the beginning, you were trying to evoke a pleasing response from those who were outside of you, even those who were well-meaning, like your parents and those up close to you. But what happened in that is that you lost your sense of your relationship with your vortex. You lost your sense of your relationship with this larger part of you who has just now become more as a result of what you have been living. Are you following us at all? You were source energy before you came into this body. You came into this body where you now avidly explore details all day, every day. And when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, and you send off that rocket, and the larger part of you becomes the equivalent of what you do want. So you, in your exploration of the variety, caused yourself vibrationally, the eternal part of you, the forever part of you, you caused that part of you to expand, to become more. And in the moment that you, through your exploration of variety, cause that larger part to become more, you now have the choice of keeping up with the expansion or not. When you keep up with the expansion, you feel happy, you feel sure, you feel frisky, you feel robust, you feel clear-minded, you feel healthy, you feel vital and alive, you feel full of fun, you have good timing. In other words, when you keep up with who you are, you feel wonderful. But if you are like so many humans who are exploring and launching rockets and exploring and launching rockets and exploring and launching rockets, but instead of turning to the solutions and anticipating the solutions or even hoping for the solutions, you're justifying the need for the solution by defining in greater detail the problem, then you've been letting the problem train your vibrational frequency. And we want, in this gathering, to show you how to let the vortex train your frequency, because it can. It wants to. It's calling you constantly. In fact, do you ever have negative emotion? If you ever have negative emotion, that means your vortex, your inner being, is calling you. You're just not going, not right now. You're holding out. You're focused upon something that makes you vibrationally resistant to the vortex that is calling you. It's sort of like you've got your feet dug in. You're sort of hanging on to where you are. And even though the vortex is calling you, you're not going. And the only reason you're not going is because you've got something active in your vibration that we call resistance that keeps you from being a match to the vortex who is calling you. It's sort of like, if you think of this realm that you live in, and this realm that we live in as a vibrational realm, rather than a physical manifested realm. It helps you to understand this more clearly. And there's plenty in your physical world that you accept as being vibrational. You can't set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast on 98.7 FM. The frequencies have to line up. And the frequency of your vortex is a very high, pure, non-resistant frequency. And if your frequency is set on trouble, then even though the vortex is calling you, eternally, always will, as long as that resistance is active within you, you can't go. Now, when you croak, you'll withdraw your attention from this time-space reality, and your resistance won't be active anymore, and the vortex will take you in, and you will experience all of that explosive expansion that you've been accumulating over all of this time. We just don't think you should have to croak to go to the vortex. We think that you should be able to use your ability to focus in a way that causes you to allow yourself to be more of that which you are, because nothing is more delicious than to be focused in your physical body and to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on to the frequency of who you really are, and having the fullness of all of that blowing through you, so that when you're talking with your grandchildren, you're who you really are. You're loving them unconditionally and seeing their value and talent, you see. When you are tuned in to the frequency of who you are, then anyone that you visit with, you see them in the wholeness of who they are. That's been the secret of masters and healers from the beginning of time. They behold you as you really are, not as you may temporarily be being, as you are depriving yourself of being all that you really are because you're fussing over something, because you've got yourself convinced that reality is the most important thing. The reality that is manifested. The house you live in, the body, how your body looks, how your body feels, your bank account. You think that that is reality. And we say, it is a part of reality. Certainly it is. And we understand why you think it is reality, because you can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it. But we want you to know it's a reality that is past tense. It's old news. Once it's manifested, it's a vibrational dinosaur. Once it is manifested, it is about something that is not as important as what's going on in your vortex. That's why, have you ever been in a new relationship and it just felt so good, and then it got old? Have you ever been on your way to a new work environment and you felt so exhilarated and excited in the beginning, and then it stopped giving you that feeling? As we watch you, and we've watched all of you, as we see humans in their fantastic exploration and expansion, we notice that the majority of the creation that you do as you create your empires and your relationships and the structures of your life, whether it is personal relationships or global relationships, whether it is monetary empires, whether it is subjects of understanding the philosophy of the world, as you are building these magnificent physical structures and creations, the majority of your work happens before you gather the first board or the first brick or the first computer or the first computer programmer. In other words, the majority of your creation happens before you begin to take any physical action, because there is a vibrational structure, a vibrational grid, a vibrational creation that takes place. So we see our greatest value to you here today, and the greatest work that we do as we are playing with you, is to convince you of the reality of this vibrational beingness that has amassed and that is real, but that may be vibrating at a frequency where you can't yet see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it, and that's why you don't believe it. It is so much easier to believe what's manifested than to believe what's pre-manifested. And this pre-manifestation, it is the precursor to all of this magnificent expansion. If you will allow yourself the hopeful conclusion that maybe there is a vortex and maybe my source is within it, and maybe if I just release thoughts, that source will call me into vibrational alignment, then it is our promise to you that your vortex will train your vibration up.